Hey everyone, it's Casey, and today we're going to go through a full 60-minute yin class where the focus is going to be on the upper spine, specifically into some heart openers. And prop-wise, I do have a bolster here today, a nice round bolster. You can use a body pillow or flat bolsters if you have them, anything that can kind of replicate a nice firm round bolster-like prop. And then I also have two blocks of your choice, but having two available just in case. Yin is always one of those practices that if you want extra props, have them available. Get some extra blankets or anything to help with cushioning and bringing more comfort into the body. So it's all about being nice and cozy here. We're going to start off in a nice comfortable seated position. We'll take a few breaths together. We'll do a quick little dynamic movement to kind of open up the spine, and then we'll start settling into the postures. So any comfortable seat to begin. Spine lengthens all the way up through the crown of the head. And as you feel the head lifting upward away from the ground, feel your shoulders melt heavy down away from the ears, relaxing towards the floor and feeling the rooting into your sit bones. Go ahead and exhale and let all of your breath out. And then through the nose, begin to take a slow breath in, filling all the way up through the torso, holding at the very top of the breath. Pause. And then just open up your mouth and exhale, let everything go. Again, slow breath in through the nose. Let the breath expand through the belly, through the back, all the way up into your ribs and your chest. Holding it here. And once again, just open up the mouth and exhale, let it all the way out. Okay, let's do that again. Slow inhale, the slowest one yet. Really focus on each section, opening nice and gradually as you expand all the way up to the top. Holding your breath. See if you can sip in a little more air. And then just open up your mouth and exhale, let it all the way out. And then resume back into a nice steady pace in your breath, but just breathing in and out of your nose. Smooth and steady. Let the mind relax. Let it be fully present and immersed in this moment right here. And each new moment that comes, allow yourself full presence, full receival of all the sensations, staying connected with your postures, with your breath, and with your body. Okay, let's gently blink open through your eyes. Hands cup over the knees. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, chin to your chest. Round your back. Tuck the tail. Think cat pose from a seated position. And then inhale, think cow pose as you scoop your heart forward and up. Lifting your chest as it broadens, sit bones back. Exhale, rounding your back again. Nice flexion in the spine. And then inhale, open back up. Go ahead and take a couple more rounds on your own and just use this as a little bit of preparation to kind of loosen up those sticky spots so that we can release a little bit deeper into them. We'll have a nice gradual practice today anyways. Slowly leading ourselves up to more and more. Okay, start to make your way back into a nice neutral spine. We're going to come into a Sphinx pose, okay? You're more than welcome to do this without a bolster, but I like to have the bolster. So the bolster is going to go right underneath the armpits, okay? I like a lot of lift, so my bolster kind of has maybe not a little round, but a little bit more flattened out. But I like that highest point kind of wrapped right underneath my armpits. So you can start to spin your legs around, coming down onto your bellies, and try to get the elbows generally around underneath the shoulders, but it's okay to have them a little more forward. And just start to adjust yourself until you feel a nice support and a lift through the front side of your body, through the spine. This nice gentle back bend. Once again, if it's too much, you can lower your bolster down. You can walk your arms forward, or You can remove the bolster altogether and maybe even use something a little bit smaller if that feels better for you, okay? Now just go ahead and relax here. So the head is in a lifted position, and that is okay. I, in a yin class, like to be as relaxed as I possibly can so that my muscles can release and allow more of that attention to go into the connective tissues, which is what we're trying to work towards here. So if able, take a block and try to angle it so it rests, your forehead can rest directly onto it, or if you need extra props, just build a little bit of your little prop castle until you feel the right support. And when your head is able to relax, you're going to signal to the rest of your body that you are in a deeply relaxed position and kind of letting your body know it's okay to release. It's okay to just be here. We're going to kind of just settle in. We're going to ground. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. So if you start to feel a lot, you can always take a deep breath and release out through your mouth to kind of release a little excess energy or tension that you might be experiencing. But otherwise, I want you to just start settling. Release any of your fidgeting, release any of your own internal distractions, and see if you can just start to settle into more of a still, calm, and restful space. I'm going to let us be here for we're only going to be here for maybe a couple more minutes. So just let yourself settle in, and if you feel that you're able to settle in more, you can adjust to make it a little bit more intense, or you can back off, or just stay right where you are. Follow your breath, stay present, and let go. Take about 3 or 4 more slow breaths. Really start to take those deeper breaths. And then we're going to slowly lift the head back up, okay? Set the block out of your way. And then we're going to take the hands. We're going to wrap the elbows around the back of the side of the bolster. So we have a little bit more of a propping up here. Walk the arms in and press through the forearms to pull the hips back. And just kind of walk yourself in. And let's go ahead and press the bolster forward a little bit and just relax your spine over into a nice rounded child's pose. Let yourself curl. If there's a better position that your body is asking for, more so than this, please listen to your body and do that. Another breath. Okay, let's go ahead and come up. We're going to remove props out of the way. This one, we won't really need props. Sometimes there's an option to have a bolster or a block between the legs, but you can kind of feel it out. Most of the time, my students prefer not to have the props, so please listen to your body, but I'll go ahead and give you the opportunity when it comes, okay? Come down onto your bellies again. And I'm going to start with the left side just so you can see a little bit easier since I'm on this side of my mouth. From the belly, the left arm is going to reach out to the left side, directly out from the shoulder. Okay, palm is facing downward. I'm not going to move the arm. My right hand is just resting right underneath my right shoulder. Bending into the right knee to help press and lift open through your hips. So you're rolling onto your left hip, onto your left side, and trying to let the right foot drop behind you if possible, okay? Now, the objective, or where we're kind of moving towards, is being able to open up the front side of the body, including the front side of the hips, to try to angle the right knee up or out slightly. So imagine that your top right glute is trying to peel up and stack over the left, and then it's trying to pull back even more and trying to rest towards the ground. So you're getting kind of this full front body opening, as well as getting that nice lengthening into your left shoulder and your chest. Now your right hand can stay right in front of you on the ground, or you can drop it around into your lower back, which is going to add a little bit more opening into your shoulder and the chest as well. Give yourself a nice few breaths to help kind of release through the first layers of tension that you're feeling. So let's take a couple together. Release your breath all the way out. And then take a slow breath in, filling all the way up from the belly to the chest. Fill up every little compartment in all directions, holding at the top of your breath. Just feel that slight hold and retention. And then open up your mouth and exhale, let it all the way out. One more together. Slow breath in. Take your time. Gradually expanding, opening through the breath. Holding at the very top. And then just open up the mouth and exhale, let it go. Go ahead and take another one on your own. Now with this right leg that's opening up, if that doesn't feel good, this is a good opportunity to just let it rest and stack on top of the left leg. It doesn't have to open if that feels strenuous. You can also take that bolster or a block between your knees to provide a little extra support if it feels like it's pulling into your lower back. Okay, go ahead and relax your breath after you've taken that last really deep exhalation and sigh out through the mouth. And just feel yourself start to kind of melt and disengage. So whatever effort that you're using to hold this shape, try to release that effort so that you're putting as minimal amount of energy into this as possible. And yet you're just allowing yourself to kind of fall into the shape with gravity, letting it do all of the work for you. All we're doing is setting up the initial shape and letting gravity take over. So start to close your eyes, relax inward, and give yourself, we're going to be here about 10 more slow breaths. Oh, one more deep breath here. If your hand is around to your lower back, slowly bring it back over. Take your time. We're not going to move super quickly here. We're going to begin to gradually roll back over onto the belly and onto the hips. Stack your hands underneath your forehead. Rest the head down. You can stay here or bend the knees, separate them a little bit, and just windshield wiper them side to side. Okay, we're going to come right into that other side. So I'm just going to scooch here on my mat. Right arm reaches directly out to the right side, palms down, left hand underneath the left shoulder. Bending into the left knee, roll open through the front side of that hip. Head can rest down. If not at the ground, you can always rest the head on your hand or on a block or any kind of blanket or pillow that you might have. Feel the front side of your body opening up the chest, opening up the ribs, opening up the front of the hips. Okay. Left knee can start to tilt up, maybe opening that top glute back towards the ground behind you. Maybe take your left arm, let it drape into the lower back for more of that internal rotation through the shoulder joint. And once again, if you want that modification, just drop your left knee down on top of the right, or bring some kind of prop in between them for support. And then just feel yourself start to work a little bit into an edge. So you feel a good amount of intensity and opening in the body. Not too much. You're still able to maintain a nice steady breath. Nothing forceful. And yet we're inviting ourselves into a little more self-exploration, finding this depth within ourselves. So once you find it, try to disengage as much as you possibly can. So just like the other side, we're using only as much effort that is necessary and letting everything else go. So feel yourself melting open. Feel yourself surrender to gravity. All those tight muscles that are still holding on, just give them permission to let go. To feel a sense of dropping into this space and just allowing all the sensations to be present. Give yourself about 10 more slow breaths in and out of the nose. Very mindful breathing here. Let's just take a couple more deep breaths right here. And then slowly, let's take the left hand back in front of you if it's not already there. And gradually start to roll back over onto your bellies and your chests and hips. Stack your hands underneath your head. Bend your knees and just move the feet around. Or if there's a way that your body wants to move and it's a little different than this, that's okay too. I will always encourage you to listen to your body. You are your greatest teacher. All you got to do is tune in. Okay. Let's go ahead, set the feet down. Hands underneath the shoulders. Let's press back into a quick little child's pose, bringing the knees together or as closely together as you can so the body can round over the legs. Maybe the hands rest back by the feet so you get kind of that nice relaxing into the shoulders and upper arms. Couple breaths here. Okay, let's begin to lift ourselves up. Find your way into a comfortable seat, and we're going to set up our bolsters here so that they are nice and long, kind of at the back of our mats. Okay, so you might want to have a block either on top or a block below, okay, or 2 blocks below to create a bit of a ramp. Okay, you can create a ramp, shelf, or you can have it just lying flat on the ground. The more you create a ramp, the less intensity that you're going to have in it. So if you are feeling pretty tight in your spine, because we're about to come into some spinal rotation, then I would suggest maybe creating the ramp, and you can always adjust from there if being flat is too much. Otherwise, you can stay flat and maybe just start to bridge the gap of space between your body and the bolster, okay? That's how we can use our blocks, or if you have blankets or any other kind of cushion, you can use that just to fill up the space between your body and your bolster, okay? So let's go ahead and scoot the hips, the back of the hips right up against the bolster, okay? Feet about hips width apart. And let's start by just dropping the knees to the left side. And notice as your knees drop all the way to the left, you're gonna be kind of seated on that left hip. Your right hip will feel a lot lighter, okay? Let's scoot the left hip so it's directly against the end of your bolster. So now you're feeling a little support in that left. Hands come around to frame your bolster to either side. Long lifted spine all the way out through the crown of your head, and then slowly rotate and twist so your body is as framed over that bolster as you possibly can be. And then you're going to walk your hands down the length of the bolster as you let your spine relax over. Now, this is where you're going to notice if you want to have it a little bit higher, it can feel nicer to have it more elevated so you don't have to release down as low. Okay, so if you want to make those adjustments now. Otherwise, you can maybe fill up with a blanket or maybe even just a block underneath the head if that feels good. And for the head, your left cheek can rest down. Okay, this is a nice variation right here. You're still getting that nice twist in the spine. But if it does feel okay to take the full rotation, you can flip and look over your left shoulder. So you get rotation all the way through the entirety of your spine, and then rest the right cheek to the bolster. Now, whatever variation you choose, just let it feel like there is sensation, but it's not too much sensation. You're still able to take nice, smooth breaths. You're able to be present and relaxed, but you just feel a level of intensity, or you feel a level of sensation or discomfort, and you're able to just start settling into that discomfort, softening and sinking in a little bit deeper. If you would like to give yourself some really deep breaths and release on an exhale out through the mouth with a deep sigh, that can be really helpful for accessing more space and depth as you release here. But if you feel fairly relaxed, just start to feel yourself melting in a little bit more with each breath, settling into your spaces. And just like the other postures, surrender yourself to gravity. Let gravity take over here for you. We're going to be here for about another minute and a half. So just let yourself fully let go. Physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, just let yourself relax as best as possible. All right. Slowly, if your head is on the right side, slowly flip it back over to the left. We're going to get out of this really slowly here. So take your hands to either side of the bolster. And you're going to press through both of your hands evenly. And you're going to let your chin drop to your chest as you straighten out the arms, pressing yourself off the bolster. Then extend out through the head. Right hand comes all the way back behind you. And then just swivel the knees back up to center. Okay, let's lift ourselves up. Knees bent, scoot the hips back to the middle, and just let your spine relax over your legs. Hands can wrap over the front of the shins or maybe behind the backs of your thighs. We're just finding that length into our torso, finding that nice rotation. A little twist through the heart. Okay, coming all the way back up. Same thing, other side. So hips come up right against the back end of the bolster, and then let your knees fall to the right side, and then just scoot that right hip a little bit closer in. Okay, once it's nice and connected, hands to either side of the bolster, lengthen to the spine, and then just feel a gentle rotation framing over the bolster. Adjust. Maybe one side is a little bit more open than the other side. Maybe you need to adjust your bolster to be more elevated or to lower it down. Once you find the length, slowly start to walk yourself down and notice how far you can go before the body says, that's it. Okay, and then fill the space between your body and the bolster so that you don't have to hold and support yourself. You can fully let go. And once again, you can either just drop your right cheek, or if it feels good, you can rotate head over the right shoulder and then drop your left cheek. Find the variation that feels best in your body. Close your eyes. Maybe begin to take a few really deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth with a deep sigh. Help yourself settle in. Get through those initial layers. It's not always an immediate release. Sometimes we need a little time to soften, to feel that ability to let go. Maybe you feel like you're already there. You can just soften the entire body. Every muscle just melts into place. And we're going to be here. It's again probably in about a minute and a half or so. Let yourself go. Let yourself fully be here. And just let the spine melt open. Take just a few more breaths. Now, if your head is flipped over, so you're looking over your right shoulder, go ahead and bring it back to the other side. Pause. Hands to either side of the bolster. Walk the hands in. Let the chin fall to the chest as you press through the hands. Lift the spine. Slowly lengthen out through the head and neck. Left hand sweeps all the way back and around as the knees swivel back up to center. Walk the hands back in, and same thing, just let yourself round over your legs. Okay, coming all the way back up. Now, we're going to do kind of a similar setup, but we're going to get rid of the blocks if you have them, okay? And we're going to turn our bolsters so they're a little more sideways and in towards the center of the mat, okay? Now, you're going to start off knees bent, let the knees drop to the left, and then same thing, you're going to scoot so that you are a little bit more, your left knee is pointing in the same direction as the bolster, okay? But I want you to create a little gap of space because you're going to have to play with where that placement is. We want to be right below the rib cage. We don't want to push up into the ribs. We want that space kind of right at the brim of the rib cage, okay? I like a little bit more height on this one. Find what's appropriate. Maybe you want a little bit more lift with a blanket on top. Maybe you want to lift your bolster up a little higher with a block or block or two, or maybe you just like your bolster as it is, okay? Or you just use a blanket in lieu of. Find that space right underneath the rib cage and just let yourself drape over. Left arm can rest out to the side. And then right fingertips are going to slowly just start to stretch overhead. Okay, if they don't reach all the way down to the ground, it's okay to take a bend into the elbow and let the hand drop, or it's okay to walk it a little bit more forward if needed. And then you can stretch your right leg forward in front. I want you to still maintain it in a nice relaxed position so you're not active reaching through the foot. You can start there and then relax it from that position. So you're finding that furthest reach and stretch, and then you're just letting yourself kind of soften and let gravity take over from here, allowing that nice kind of melting over the rib cage, over the side body, through the obliques, all the way down the hip, all the way down the leg and the arm. Maybe take some deep breaths and release on a deep sigh. Exhale through the mouth if that feels good, or just settle in as you are. If you are taking really deep breaths, focus on how there's a little bit of limitation on that left side, okay? Feel more of the expansion branching through the right side where there's more space. Imagine it kind of leaking through the spaces between each rib. Imagine it finding space between that lower rib and your hip line. Where can you find access to more space? Okay, let's go ahead. We're going to be here maybe just a couple more minutes. Let yourself soften and relax inward. If the mind starts to attach itself to a bunch of clutter and distraction, then just make a conscious choice to come right back. It's very natural for the mind to wander, but the more we train it to continuously come back to presence, the easier and easier it becomes. Just working that muscle of the mind. About another minute here. Try to let your muscles relax. What are you still holding on to? Sometimes it's areas of the body we don't even realize we're tensed up. Scan over. Bring more mindfulness, more self-observation into the practice. and consciously release. Okay, you're going to take the top leg and walk it in a little bit until it's a little bit more relaxed towards the ground. And then right hand is going to slowly slide back in until the hand is kind of resting right in front of your face. You're going to use that. Okay, we're going to move really slow here. See if you can roll towards your belly. Press through the hand, chin to the chest until you can come up onto your left hand. Extend out through the spine, all the way through the head. Right hand sweeps behind you as you swivel the knees to center. Let's come up and round over the legs. Just like we've been doing. Okay, head comes up. Let's do the other side. Feet about hips width, knees swivel to the right side. Find that right distance between your body and the bolster. I have a really long torso, so I need some space. If you have a pretty short torso, you might have to be right up against the bolster. Okay, nice long spine. Start to slowly drape right underneath your ribs, okay? Try not to poke into your ribs if possible. And then once you find that nice drape, right arm threads through, and then left arm starts to stretch overhead. Once again, you can kind of relax through that top arm once you find that nice placement. Make adjustments if needed. Left leg can extend long, reaching fingertips and toes away from each other. And then just kind of relax that tension and that reach so you settle into more of a relaxed, surrendered position, more of a passive, released position. We're not active here. We're not trying to tense up our muscles. We're not trying to engage anything. We're trying to do the opposite. We're disengaging. We're softening. We're allowing the muscles to melt and letting that kind of space of the connective tissues start to find a little bit more tension, building more strength into our tissues, opening some of that tightness, the stiffness, the blockages. So start to take deeper breaths. And as you do, once again, feel now that kind of compression into that lower right side. Allowing the breath to expand more into your left side. Feel the space between every rib and the space between ribs and hips. The deeper you breathe, the more this space expands and releases on the exhalations. Maybe you relax your breath into more of an easy rhythm where there's not much force or control. But wherever you are, we're going to be here for at least a couple more minutes. Yeah. So just let yourself melt in. Don't worry about time. Just let go. Let's take about 5 more breaths. Now let's take that top leg and slide the foot back in. And then take the top hand, slide it back in until it's right in front of the face. Start to roll the chest towards the ground until you can press through the left hand, right hand props down, extend out through the spine and head. As you walk the hands up, left hand sweeps around, knee swivel to center as you reposition the hips and come up as you let the spine just drape over. Give yourself a few breaths and just relax your spine in this position. Okay. Now we're going to come all the way up and we're going to use our bolster again. And this time we're going to keep our bolster nice and we're going to switch it back to that original format. And this time we're going to get more of a heart opening. Okay, so this is going to be the first setup, but there's going to be options for you to go a little bit deeper. So I'm going to show you first. The legs can do anything that you want: butterfly, cross, extend, bend, whatever you want. Or if you do want a lot more intensity in the hips, please listen to your body. We haven't done any hip opening, but if you are at home and you're like, this feels good for me, you can always take feet a little wider than the hips and just sitting the hips on the floor for this, which adds a little bit more opening to the hip flexors and quads. But please listen to your body since we haven't targeted that area. Okay. Now, first step would just be letting the spine drape over the bolster and arms open out to the sides. Okay. You might need to have the head elevated. So if that's the case, build the ramp underneath your bolster, highest block on the back end by the head, and a lower block in the middle for a little extra support. Okay. Otherwise, if you want more opening than this, take your bolster back to that sideways, perpendicular to the spine, and it's going to go right behind the back of your heart below your shoulder blades. Okay. And that will look like so. The head relaxes down at the ground or onto a block or a blanket or any kind of support. Okay. So go ahead and find the setup here for your spine. Give yourself a moment to adjust your blocks if you need to. Arms spill out to the sides and let the front side of the chest really focus on opening, and then let the palms turn up and just let the fingers naturally curl. Okay. I like to really focus on kind of the shoulders rolling underneath to allow more of that broadening through the front of the chest. Once again, legs take any shape that feels good for you. Just let it come more naturally here. Close your eyes, let them just drop back into the sockets. Relax your jaw. Make sure you're still able to take those deep breaths. Have you taken yourself into a level of depth that feels too much? If that's the case, back off. We're going to take a few breaths together. Exhale, let everything out. Take a slow breath through the nose. Fill all the way up to the belly. The backside compresses so you feel the front side open up more. Ribs, chest, holding it. And then open up your mouth and exhale, let it go. Let's do that again. Take a slow breath in, expand belly, ribs, chest. The back body presses into your bolster. The sides expand out, holding at the top. And then just open up your mouth and let it out. Let yourself relax. If you feel that you want to do another one of those, go for it. As many as you'd like until you're able to just fully let the muscles go. Find the shape that feels most appropriate. And then don't fight against the shape. Let the shape just melt, release, unwind, and surrender for the rest of the time that we have here. Don't worry about the time, just focus on letting go, focus on the breath. Let the mind soften away from all the other little attachments and just be here. We're going to be here about 6 more slow breaths. Okay, slowly deepening your breath. Okay, we're going to come out of this really slow. So if you are in one of the lower variations, it might feel good just to roll over onto your side and roll off the bolster. Otherwise, if you're up more on a ramp or if you're in a really intense variation, you can slowly walk your elbows in, okay, chin to your chest. Press into the elbows, walk them back, come up onto the forearms, one hand at a time, press up. Knees bent, and just let yourself roll over the legs. Okay, if you're on your side, you can press yourself up and end up in the same position. Just let the spine round and relax here. Couple more breaths. Okay, head rolls up. Let's set the bolster out of the way. We're going to sweep the legs around. Let's grab our blocks and set your blocks about shoulder width apart. Okay, they're going to be on their lowest setting. Let's keep them there. And then we're going to drop our elbows down onto the blocks. Make sure they're about shoulder width apart. We won't be here for very long. We just did a lot of heart opening. We're just going to be here to kind of sink into the stretch. Hands come into a prayer position. Keep the hands pointing up. Maybe start to walk the knees back so you can keep the hips over the knees and begin to melt the chest towards the ground. Deepen your breath. If you need to adjust, you can. If it's too much, you can come back up, extend the arms straight, and then drop back in again. It's entirely up to you. This becomes a little bit more in the shoulders for me personally, but maybe it feels a little different for you. You want to feel nice opening to the shoulders, the chest, and the upper back. We're just going to take about 3 or 4 more deep breaths. Coming out of this position as the head comes up, start to shift some body weight forward, walk the knees in. You can slowly come up onto the hands. Let's keep the hands on the blocks and then press into the blocks and really focus on rounding your upper back and your shoulders. You're going to hold here for a few breaths. Maybe you kind of sway hips side to side, shoulders side to side, but keep that nice hunch in the back. And then re-neutralize, make your way back into a comfortable seat. Okay, setting the blocks to the side. And we're gonna finish off with just a nice, good old Shavasana. And option to have a bolster underneath the backs of the knees. We have done spinal work today. I think supporting the backs of the knees helps a lot for me in my lower back, but maybe it will help too to alleviate lower back, and we'll let it trickle all the way up the spine. So if you want to join me with the bolster underneath your knees, or you can use blocks underneath your knees or anything that you have at home, relax your spine all the way down. Arms fall out to the sides. Start to work out any of those last little kinks. If you feel like you need specific movements before final rest, if you want to twist or something, you can take a little twist. We did get a nice rounding before we released here. Separate the legs a little wider than the hips so you can feel them melt open a little bit more. And we're just going to take a deep breath together. Release your breath first. Take a slow breath in through the nose. Gradually expand the breath through the entirety of the torso, all the way down the limbs, all the way up to the crown of your head. And just hold the breath here for a moment. Think about any last little things you want to release. And then open up your mouth and let all of those things go. The body, the mind, any things that we're still holding on to, release it. If you need another sigh, take one. Otherwise, just let your breath relax. Let it come into a more natural pace yet again. And for the next few minutes are yours to just fully absorb into this moment. Like a puddle on the ground, you're soaking down and spreading out, taking up space, and just allowing yourself to be. Slowly start to deepen your breath. Let little movements flicker into your fingers and your toes. Find some movement into your joints, your wrists, your ankles, through the neck as the head sways, maybe bending into your elbows, maybe bending into the knees. And then the arms stretch over your head, stretch long through your legs. If the bolster's there, you can even press into the bolster and peel the hips off the ground. Hips melt back down. Let's draw knees to the chest. Arms wrap around knees or thighs and just sway yourself left and right. Rolling over to either side that you choose. Fetal position just momentarily here. Roll the chest down as the right hand connects to the ground or top hand to the ground. Press yourself all the way up. Come up into any comfortable seated position. Set anything out of your way that you need to. Spine up, shoulders relaxed, hands joined together at your heart. And just take a moment to thank your bodies for what they just did for you, being grateful for this practice. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you today. Thanks everyone so much. My upper back and my whole spine, my shoulders, the heart, everything's feeling super, super open. So I hope you're feeling equal. And I would love to hear your feedback in the comments, and I'll be seeing y'all soon. Thank you so much.